Welcome back to the FBC review. This is week 5. No background music this time because this is going to be a shorter one and I didn't want to set it up. So, kind of a weird one this week. You might be able to tell by the length of this. We only got one match to talk about. So, let's hop into it and we'll talk about why there's only one match afterwards. So, I guess without further ado, I give you our marquee match of the week.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
So here we are. We've got our match between Keenan and Zane. Keenan had kind of a short run in this tournament. I think this is only his third game. He had the first round bye, won his first game against Papcoon, in no small part due to some terrible luck from Papcoon, and followed up with. Did Papcoon have terrible luck? I forget. I feel like he did. I feel like Papcoon had terrible luck for some reason. I'm not going to go back and check. And then he followed up, since started off with a bye week, played, won, got a bye week, played, lost down here for his next game. And Zane, on the other hand, here, I'm going to pull it up on the side here and double check my math. I think Zane, he started off with a bye, got a loss, came down, and now this is his third game in a row, winning his way into the third place game, which again we'll have to talk about. But let's start off this game and see where things go. So we've got a Iron Treads booster energy pops right away, and we get a +1 speed Iron Treads taking on this Cinderace. So obviously this is enough to scare the Cinderace out. And it in fact does. Iron Treads goes ahead for an Earth Power, switch down the Moltres, good switch. Stealth Rocks go up in front of the Moltres as it U-turns out. So let's stop right there. I guess not enough. I think if you have Iron Treads on your team, you probably should have had a Rock move if you're going against some Moltres. I think that was bad prep on Keenan's part. I think he had to know that Moltres is like an easy counter to Iron Treads, and he needed to have some sort of a plan for it. It doesn't appear that he did. So I think misplay there. Zygarde's going to come in and obviously force this Iron Treads out as we see Staraptor come in. And Zane just smartly double switches back to... maybe it wasn't a double switch. I think he might have been scouting for Ice Spinner. I don't know for certain that Treads gets Ice Spinner, but it definitely feels like a Pokemon that would. So I think that was a scout. That would also potentially proc a Flame Body. So that's what I think happened there. And ends up in against Staraptor, which if this was a physically defensive Moltres, that's perfect because we see the Brave Bird come out. Based on how much that did, I'm going to have to assume that is Scarfed Staraptor. I would imagine Banded Staraptor would have done considerably more damage. And he actually gets the Flame Body burn here, so that's rough. As we see, Moltres takes time to defog, gets rid of those rocks. And then we just see another Brave Bird come out as Moltres is going to roost that off, and Staraptor is going to get whittled down to burn. Now, we're going to see something here over the next couple turns. Moltres isn't going to attack. He's just going to roost a bunch. Now, with the limited PP on healing moves, I don't know. I would probably say I don't agree with this, but Keenan doesn't have a very defensive team. You're probably not going to get in like a stall war where you need a lot of roosts. So he's actually going to take out this Staraptor without dealing an attack. It's turn 8, and he is up 6 Pokemon to 5. That doesn't happen too often. I would say, especially a criticism that I leveled in early seasons of the league was you can't win if you don't attack. Now, I would say that's still true. Zane's going to attack more in this game, but I think that criticism that I would have leveled in the past was because there was some people who just did a lot of switching. They would do a stat, they'd Swords Dance and then switch out into something because there was some sort of a counter. Then they'd throw up Stealth Rocks and then they'd switch into something else. And then they'd defog and then they'd switch into something else. This is just really good defensive positioning. And I think that you can get away with that. So now we're going to have Garganacl come in. Obviously, you're going to force this Moltres out. We see the U-turn into the Cinderace. Curse is coming out from Garganacl. And we're just going to see Cinderace follow up with a high jump kick. Does a really good amount of damage despite the +1 defense. Earthquake no longer super effective due to Libero. Not going to do enough damage. Moltres is going to come out here, and this is a smart like double switch here. First of all, you know you can outplay a potential Earthquake, and you also can't risk another high jump kick, which is probably banded based on how much damage that did. So Zane makes a really good read on Keenan and gets in the Moltres. He's going to be able to eat this Shadow Ball pretty well and U-turn out safely. Scout, and now he knows that this... Now, he might not know what this set is. He can judge from damage whether it's Specs or not. I would assume that's not Specs. Maybe based... I don't know how fast his Moltres is. It looks pretty defensive, so he might be able to know how fast this Chandelure is. But Araquanid's going to come out. And a good switch again by Keenan into the Seismitoad to block that liquidation. But now you have two mons who can't really do a ton of damage to each other. And Keenan's going to be the first one to he's like, I'm going to try to take advantage of Araquanid. Araquanid's not super offensive. Crunch isn't doing a lot of damage. I'm going to try to bring in my Porygon Z and get set up. Unfortunately, he gets a defense drop on this Crunch, which is definitely going to come into play here. As we see an agility go up. And then Leech Life's going to take out the Porygon Z because of the defense drop. Now, it just meant he would have had to go for liquidation instead, but I don't think he wanted to do that. In the event that Seismitoad came back in, he kind of loses some momentum there. But now at this point, nothing really that can deal with this Araquanid too well. You're going to see Garganacl come in and immediately drop to a liquidation. You're going to see this Iron Treads come in, go for his best move against it, which is Steel Beam, and then drop to a liquidation. And Chandelure is going to come in, go for an Energy Ball, not do a ton of damage, and once again, drop to a liquidation. And then you're just going to see him Leech Life this Seismitoad to death. I don't think Keenan played bad in this. I think this is probably like a team prep issue. I know he says in the chat there that the agility was greedy. I don't know. I don't know if the agility would have gained him enough. Like, I guess if this Araquanid had gone for webs on that turn, but he was in kind of a losing spot. You have to play aggressively when you're losing. Like, if you're down and you see your way back being like a misplay on the other person or like a passive play and you need to take advantage of it, I say go for it. I don't think it was greedy to set up the agility. But I do feel like this team wasn't well enough prepped to deal with Zane's squad. And that's why Zane's going to come away with a win here. So nicely done, Zane. Let's hop over. I'm going to pull up the bracket here. Hang on. So, as you can see here, we've got Darren and Zach taking a dual draw. They didn't play on Monday night, and then when I got a screenshot of their conversation, when they got in touch with each other Tuesday, they just agreed that it wasn't that important to them to play. So they both took dual draws, which means Zane has no one to play in the third place game, which means Zane automatically advances and wins third place. So we're supposed to talk about 2 games this week. Supposed to talk about 2 games next week. It's supposed to be the third place game and the finals. But that's obviously not going to happen now. So I'm still going to play Jabron, and we can kind of figure stuff out from there. That'll probably be the last week of things. Unless Zane and Jabron have some sort of a like absolute appetite to like continue to play, then we could stretch this out a couple more games. But I guess message me for details if you guys want to keep playing until everyone has 2 losses. I guess that's all there is to talk about. I guess tune in next week for the thrilling conclusion to the FBC, for the Fall Break Championship presented by D24 Designs. Thank you guys. See you next week. Goodbye.